Like I served for the Swedish national team, like 4 years. I quit my job as a doctor at the moment, so I quit my job and I just took a year just traveling the world. I brought my surfboards and I just went everywhere. I didn't have like a great experience from Åre before I moved here. I think I have like the tourist view of Åre. My only view of Åre was like a New Year's week. I came here, I was like, the snow was really bad, it was icy.
So now you're an entrepreneur, and what does that mean? What are you doing?
Because my idea was, okay, where can we make the biggest impact? Where can we save the most time? That's where an idea with this project is we can save a lot of time. We can make a difference here.
Hey. Today we're chatting with Anders. He has been a pro surfer, grew up in Costa Rica, and recently started a medical AI software company. That's all we know about him so far, but we'll be getting to know him better together with you.
Something that I did not know about you is that you were a pro surfer at some point in your life. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. It's true and not true. Like it depends on what you say is a pro surfer. Like I surfed for the Swedish national team, like 4 years. So a pro Swedish surfer, I guess. I didn't make my living off of it, which is a lot of people say that's like how you measure professional. But there's a lot of sports where it's really hard to make money, right? So, but yeah, I surfed for the Swedish national team. Like I grew up in Costa Rica, so I did a lot of surfing as a kid. So that's how I learned to surf. Like I surfed every day as a kid. And then I didn't surf for a lot of years and then moved back to Sweden and started up. Like when I was 28, I started surfing again. And then I had like a head start. You know, Swedish people don't really surf a lot. So then I started surfing a lot, like travel the world, surfing everywhere. And then, yeah, I had a good base. So I started.
So you're
surfing.
a late bloomer in that sense, 28, or is that?
I'd say so, yeah. Yeah, like early and a late bloomer. Like I surfed a lot as a kid, but then I redid it. Like, yeah, so.
So you grew up in Costa Rica then?
Yeah, partly. I grew up in the States. Like we moved to the States when I was 1. And then we moved back to Sweden when I was 6. And then we left again when I was like 7 or 8. And then we went to Costa Rica. I was there until I was 13.
Nice. How was that?
It was not bad. It's quite different. Like, you know, like how you always see your own life as normal until you kind of realize how other people's normal is. So for me, it was normal, but I realized it's quite different, like how we grew up. It was really nice. Like we lived in this small, tiny town. There was like nothing when we came there. Like there wasn't even a phone. Like my dad's an electrician and he like installed the phone line. We had number 21 was like our number to call our house. And that was just after a year. So like the first year we didn't have a phone. So it's just tiny. There's nothing. There was like me, my brother, and like 4 other kids in our age. So it's quite different. Yeah.
Why did they move there then?
It's a long story. They wanted, like, my parents are not quite normal, if we use that term. Then I think they looking for adventure. Yeah. So like one thing led to another. So the short story is my dad was living in the States and he was working for a guy who was into real estate. And that guy said, like, maybe you should get like some land in Costa Rica. That's going to be big in the future. Like try to make an investment there. So yeah, so they got some land there, and then they chose to move there and build a hotel. So yeah, that's what we did. Yeah.
And so you were alone there as in terms of Swedish people, or the
yeah, no Swedish people there. No.
But you spoke Swedish at home still.
Yeah. Like me and my brother would speak English to each other when we were small, but we didn't. Like I watch videos now of when we were kids, and we don't really understand that these are 2 different languages, like English and Swedish. So we'd talk English to each other, but somebody would ask us a question in Swedish, we'd answer in English and so on. And then later on, we could differentiate between the 2. But yeah, we speak Swedish at home. Like that was important for my parents, like always keep that Swedish language for us. So yeah, we've always had that. And in Costa Rica, we brought our own teacher. Like they brought a Swedish teacher because there's no school in that little town, of course. So we brought a Swedish teacher. So we had Swedish schooling. That was also always important for my mom, like that we had real Swedish education.
So it was kind of on level with the school that's in Sweden.
So we followed like the Swedish school plan and everything. It's like she got like secondhand books from Sweden and got like this real Swedish school plans. We did tests for real, like at home, and yeah.
Cool. And so you never realized it until you were 13 or something. Then you moved back to Sweden. So you never really realized you were special in that way that you were.
Not really, no. Because the other kids when we were living there, they had the same life. Like the other 4 kids, 2 of them were Italian. One was from Switzerland, and then there was like a kid from the States. They all kind of lived the same life. but they lived there a few years longer than we did. They all,
And you
like,
would go surfing after your schoolwork every day?
Yeah, like we could set up, since we had our own teacher, we could set up our school when we wanted to. So we set up school in the afternoon if there was, the high tide was in the beginning or in the morning. So then we go surfing in the morning and we'd have school later. So we could surf every day, and we'd had surfing like lessons, with surfing lessons.
Nice.
And we surf every day, all the time. Like, and we live like 50 yards from the surf.
So you were 7, 8, around the time you learned to surf?
Yeah,
then.
yeah, exactly.
How is the surf there? Pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's one of the best places in the world. Like, a lot of countries will say that about their surf, but Costa Rica is quite special. It has really good surf all year round. Like others, like say you go to Portugal, they'll have their surf season, and then it gets like too big or too small or too windy. Costa Rica has like surf all year round.
And was it like love at first sight with surfing, or?
I can't remember. I was too small, I think. Like, I think it was like pretty early we started. We got these boogie boards, the small soft boards. You go out surfing on those, and then really quickly you get like a real surfboard, starting with that. And it's just, yeah, I think that was love at first or second sight, pretty quick.
And I guess it's kind of like riding a bike. You don't forget how to do it. So
no,
you picked it up when you were 28.
Yeah, exactly.
And were you like at the same level of the other team members in the Swedish?
I mean, the Swedish team is pretty special. Like, nobody in the Swedish team is really Swedish. Like, one other guy is Costa Rican. He was used to surf on the Costa Rican team. Another guy is Swedish, but he grew up also in another place in Costa Rica. And the other guy, I was like, nobody's really Swedish surfing on that team. So yeah, I think I was a bit after them, because I had a lot of years not surfing. I hadn't touched the surfboard for like 20 years or 15, whatever. So it took me a while, but I took a year off work, and I went traveling the world. So I just had this like nice opportunity. I used to live with one of my best friends at the moment. He was a pilot. So we lived together, and we saw in his contract that his partner could fly with the same deal as he could as a pilot. They almost fly for free. They just pay the taxes. So we registered as a couple, and that way I could fly almost for free anywhere in the world. So I quit my job as a doctor at the moment. So I quit my job, and I just took a year just traveling the world. I brought my surfboards, and I just went everywhere. And I had like 50 airlines to choose from, and I can just at the same day, like, I want to go here, pay like almost nothing, and I just go there, surf. So I could follow the waves anywhere. I surfed. I went like three trips around the world, just surfing everywhere. And you fly like if there's a space on that airplane that is not booked, you can get that. But if it's booked, you can't get on the plane. So just in Månaplats, they call it in Swedish. Like, if there's a spot, you jump on the plane. So I did that for a year. So I surfed. I think I have a hard time seeing somebody surf more than me in the world, pretty much, because I surfed almost every day for a year, and I surfed the best waves in the world, which is like super luxurious. I understand that, but yeah, it was a special time. But I did so much surfing, so I kind of like got back to the level that I was as a kid, and like beyond that as well, I would say.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So did you accomplish anything during those 4 years? I mean, did you win competitions or anything? Or
I didn't. I was always, I was never the number one. I was always like, we got tvåan, always the number two or
the
worse.
runner-up.
Yeah, they're always a runner-up. Yeah, I surfed big competitions, and I'm not good in, like, if you look in the world, I'm not a good surfer. Like, I took like top 100 in the world a few years, and then top 50 in Europe, but I was like number 34 in Europe. I was number 89 in the world and stuff like that. And then even each country will send, like, let's say US, they'll send their 4 surfers, and Sweden will send their 4 surfers. But I'm sure there's 80 surfers in the States who are better than surfing than I am, right? And I still get the place 89. So I don't know where I am in the world. Like, I'll stand my own, and I'll do good in a competition, but I'll never be the best.
And did you feel you got your maximum out of the sport, or?
Yeah, there's like 2 different parts of surfing. Like, there's the competition part, and then there's this surfing because it's fun part. And I really like competing. Like, it does something with me. I think it's sort of a really fun, like, personal achievement. Like, my goal was never to win. I knew I wouldn't win, but I think it's really fun to go there. You'll meet these people you'd never met if you wouldn't have gone. So I like this, like the competition part. But what's really fun is, like the free surfing when there's no competition. Like you go in the morning you surf with your buddies, and the waves aren't that good, or the waves are amazing. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I like. So I accomplished that in a way. But like I have more fun after that. Like after I quit the team, and like I go surfing with my best friends. Let's go to this crappy wave somewhere and just sit out. Like imagine us three just sitting out talking shit, and then the wave comes and you surf that and you keep on talking. It's like almost like skiing. Like when we met skiing, like we'll talk on the way up and you'll do a bit of skiing and then you'll talk, and it doesn't really matter how good the waves are or how good the skiing is. Like it's a company, right? So,
but you clearly love that lifestyle. So we're always curious about why people move to Åre. But in your case, that's extra special, I think, because it's the opposite from the coast side.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I really like the ocean. I really like warmth. I like heat. I like when it's warm. But for me, it was Malins, my girlfriend. She, her family's been living here winter times all their life, and so I always called myself the plus one. I joined not because I wanted to move here, but like I was open to it. So I didn't have like a great experience from Åre before I moved here. I think I have like the tourist view of Åre. I've been here 1 week with one of my best friends, and we rented like a place in Duved over New Year's. So my only view of Åre was like a New Year's week. I came here. The snow was really bad. It was icy. I was snowboarding at the moment. I had a snowboard. It was like 10-year-old snowboard. I was too cheap like to fix the edges, so I had one edge to ride on. It was icy.
How many years ago is
that? Was probably over 10, 15 years ago now. Okay,
so quite a while.
Yeah. So we came up for that New Year's week, and it's crowded, how it is in New Year's. It's crowded. Like it wasn't amazing. Like we have a fun time. Like we go to we went out for New Year's to Bryggeriet. It's called, right? The Bryggeriet. Like we go out there to go dancing, and at 12 o'clock we were still in the queue to get in. So like that was my New Year's. Like I had fun because it was my friend, not because it was a water. So when Malin said like I want to spend more time here, that was like around COVID or before COVID, we started like coming up here a bit more, and like we lived out in Edsåsdalen. We do like more of randonnée skiing, like going backcountry skiing and not going in the piste, and that kind of opened up a new part of Åre, right? There's just these two different lives in Åre.
Yeah.
And we kind of fell in love with that. And so we started coming here more and more for the skiing, and then more and more we met the people here. We kind of say like we came for the skiing, but we stayed for the people.
That's a nice way to see it.
Yeah.
I was wondering though, when you came back into Sweden after Costa Rica, you were like 13, you said?
Yeah.
Is it like a black hole? You've been surfing your life, or you're like a kid and you don't realize what you're going to miss here in Sweden? Because obviously you couldn't surf then, or you were still.
What do you mean the black hole?
Like what they say when you like to do something really, when you love to do something, and then suddenly you can't do it anymore because there's no waves around Sweden, I think, or there's not that many.
You can surf in Sweden, but for me, I didn't miss it. Like me and my brother, because I have a brother, we lived there, we surfed together, but none of us started picking up surfing when we came.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it was just such a new life opened itself. Like we had classmates for the first time ever. Like we have friends for the first time, like more than one or two friends. There's so much other stuff to do. And I like trying different kinds of stuff. Like we play ping pong or started wrestling, and we started doing sports, started doing soccer, and like all these other normal stuff that for us was really fun.
So in a way it was better for you?
Almost. I think so, yeah. In hindsight, yeah, it's way better than if I would have stayed there and just done that for a bunch of more years. Like we got all we got out of that. If we want to go back, Costa Rica's still there. I've been back a bunch of times, but yeah, I don't think I want to live that life.
Okay. Right. So you were young, you were living in Sweden, and then at some point you came to Åre for the first time. That was like around 18, I think. Or... Yeah,
should be, maybe it was later. I think I was here once as a kid that I don't remember, like with my family. Normal, like week trip. But I don't remember that. But then I was maybe 25 or something like that when I came with a friend or a few friends.
How old are you now?
I'm 38.
38, okay. Yeah. Just so we can put your lifeline in perspective. Yeah. Okay, but so you live in Åre. You are a doctor, if I'm correct?
Yeah.
When did that happen? And where are you doing that now, and how is that working?
I'm not doing that now. So I quit a couple years ago. I took, I quit my job because I started a company instead. So now I'm an entrepreneur, as they call it.
Okay.
But yeah, when did the doctor thing happen? It happened like after gymnasiet there. It's I had 3 years after where I did like a bit of everything. I didn't work and I was traveling and I was trying different types of work. But then after that, I think I was 22 or something. That's when it started. So yeah, I got into med school in Gothenburg and I studied there for 5 years. Then I moved to Halmstad. I did my Återtjänst, it's called. You kind of do like a rotations. And then after that, you have to do 5 years of specializing. And I've been in different types of doctor situations. I would say I started off in orthopedics. I did like a couple years of orthopedics. And then I got into GP, like general practitioner, like the primary care unit doctors. And I've done a bunch of ER work as well, like in the emergency ward. It's all been like kind of pretty fluid for me. I haven't had like one straight path, kind of like my life. I've done a bunch of different stuff. And I'm doctored for the Swedish Armed Forces as well. So I have one leg in the Swedish Armed Forces, one outside. But as of now, I don't do that a lot at all. 2 years ago, since our daughter was born, almost 2 years ago, I became a specialist and I put that aside and I started a company instead. And I'm running that since.
Okay, so you're a bit the Swiss Army knife of doctors.
You could say that, yeah, sure, yeah.
Can use you for everything. That's very handy, very cool. And okay,
so a lot of times that's how it goes for doctors. There's a lot of doctors, you talk to them, but they don't have one path. Like it's quite common within medicine. Like you don't know what you want to become. There's so many. There's like over 30 different specialties that you can choose from. Like you don't know which one. Like where do I fit? Like I like the people here, but I like to work with this. Like if for me, I want to become a surgeon. I like surgery. Like I really like surgery, but I don't like the life of a surgeon. So I like kind of drifted away from that. So that's quite.
But you say it's normal, but I've never met somebody in the medical world who has done many different specialties.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, only their rotations. Yes, they tried everything and then they stick to one thing. At least the ones I know. So I think this is really cool because our life is a bit like that as well. We like to change our career path every 4 years on average. It makes us really happy. And it's not for everybody, I think. Some people like to get really good in something. I think that's also super cool to just get better and better and better in a certain specialty.
Yeah.
But this is cool to hear that you can do that as a doctor as well.
Yeah, it's a quite good job in that way that it gives that opportunity. But I think just some people are like you guys are as well. Like you want to change every now and then. If you have that within you, it's going to be hard to stay in the same place for a long time. Like I had that feeling now when I became a specialist. I saw like my boss, who was also a GP, like she was doing the same work as I did. She's 65. She's doing the exact same work. She's meeting the same patients. And I just saw like, is this what I'm going to do for 40 more years or 30 more years, whatever? Like it's really hard for me. I get kind of feel like I'm in a cage when I feel like that. I want to look at the future without knowing what it's going to bring. That's quite reoccurring for me. So I changed paths a lot. And I also put that it's a trait that I like a lot when I meet people, like people who've changed career paths or just paths in life. I think says a lot about a person. So for me, I put that really high in the traits that I like with people. So I try to also like live that way myself now that I really wanted to start a company. I wanted to try entrepreneurship. And since I value that with others, like I had to try it myself as well, right? So we're going to get back to the entrepreneur part because that's super interesting. But it reminds me a bit of the people in Åre. What do you say? I think that everybody who moved here changed their lives in some way, right? Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Almost everybody you meet here has done a certain change of path.
Yeah, for sure. And that's also, in a big way, that's what made me do it as well. Like when we moved here, I worked in Åre Hälso Central from the beginning. It's a great workplace, like one of the best places I've worked in this country. And I really liked it, but all our friends were the people we met like in House B and my girlfriend's friends, and they're all like touring and they have like flexible lives. And the day when we wake up and there's a bunch of snow on the mountain, I had to go to work because I set my schedule was set for months ahead, but everybody else is going out skiing. So, when I look out today and see like, oh, there's snow, that means, all right, we'll go skiing. But when I looked out then and see snow, that means there's going to be a lot to at work today.
Broken bones.
Damn it! Yeah, there's a lot of broken bones today. So that seeing that everybody having this flexible lifestyle, it kind of made me have. It was easier for me to take that decision to change career paths in a way. I like the flexibility. So if it wouldn't have been like that, if you've been working in a hospital, everybody has the same situation. We ski in the weekends or we ski in the afternoon. Yeah, then I probably would have continued that way. But now that I saw like all of my friends are going out skiing, like maybe there's a way for me to make that happen as well. And that's what it led to. Yeah.
That's really cool. And so now you're an entrepreneur. And what does that mean? What are you doing?
What does that mean? It's probably means different for everybody. For me, it means my idea. I started a company 2 years ago. It was with one of my absolute best friends, and it was just one of those times in life where I had the chance. I was a specialist. I was finished. I didn't have any. I didn't need to be at a special place at a special time. Which during your rotations, you always have to be somewhere. You always have to work a certain amount of time at a certain amount of place. And when that was finished, like since I've been studying for since I was 22 until I was 36. There's so many years like where you can't really budge or change the past that much. You try, you can within the system, but now I had a chance to like step out of the system. Like, okay, I'll put that aside. I can go back anytime I want to. So for me, it was this that part of a life where you can do something else. It was super clear for me that I could, and I wanted to take that path. I didn't really know what to do. But one of my best friends kind of had the same situation. He's an entrepreneur from before. He's doing a lot of coding and doing a lot of AI. And so he sold his old company and had a lot of time on his hands. So we both always wanted to work together and do something together. We have had countless projects together. Like we really know we work well together and our minds work in the same way. So we both had these unique opportunities, part of life, like where they kind of line up with each other, like, let's do something. We didn't know what we wanted to do. So that's kind of where it started off. Like it wasn't that we knew exactly what, but we knew we wanted to do something. And I've had tons of ideas like what I want to do, what companies I can start. But since he was a lot into AI and I was into the medical system, like we tried to see how can we like cross these over. So one of the problems I had was an administration issue that doctors and nurses have. So we thought like maybe we'll just try and fix that problem. So it started off there and it's just escalated from that.
And what is the exact issue there?
Well, the issue is it's something that saves time for healthcare personnel. So it's quite nerdy. It's a very niche problem. So if you're not into the medical system, it's hard, but I can explain it pretty well. I think it's when you go see a doctor or a nurse or anybody in healthcare, that person will need to first meet you and they'll treat you and give you medicine or whatever. And after, they have to write this health record text that represents why you're here today.
Yeah.
And then that text has to be accompanied by a certain code, a diagnostic code or an ICD code it's called. So every disease has its own unique code. It's like when you go into store, every product has its own, barcode on the back that represents that product. It's the same for codes for diseases in healthcare. So we have to find one of those codes and attach it to this health record. So finding that code is quite a cumbersome process. It takes time. It's hard to find the codes, so we're the Google of these codes. We use AI to help the user find and register these codes.
And they still have to do like pick the one they think is the best fit then, or how
So me if I'm the doctor, I'll have to find the best code that represents why you're there. So if you have a sprained shoulder, I'll have to find that sprained shoulder code. And today the issue is like we can't search for sprained shoulder. We have to know the Latin name of it, which in Sweden would be distorsionsskulderled. And if you don't spell it right, you won't find it. If you search for sprained shoulder, you won't find it. If you're a Greek doctor, you search for the Greek name, you won't find it. So it takes way too much time. And it's not just one code. Like say you have a heart failure or a heart attack, you'll have a heart attack, you'll have high blood pressure, you'll probably have high blood sugars, you'll have high blood fats, you might have a diabetes. Like there's so many different codes that needs to go in there. It takes a lot of time. Yeah, and these codes there's different issues here. One issue is like it takes us a lot of time to register and find the code, but then there's also the issue that these codes are what we base our medical or our research on. Like if we want to research on heart disease, we need to know and find the patients that have the heart disease in the health records. And if we haven't put the right code, we won't find the right patients, right? And even if we have public health recommendations on diseases, like say COVID, when COVID came, like, okay, if we don't register the code, which is right for COVID, if we register another one, the statistic will be wrong. So we'll give a wrong treatment or wrong predictions, rather to say. So but it has a big issue, like it has a big impact on how we look at diseases in the country, but it also has like a big impact on the end user, which is us.
And so now the doctor writes sprained shoulder, high blood pressure. Just say, I'm just typing random things as a doctor. And then your software just automatically picks those codes out of the text, or is it not there yet?
Not really. It will find the codes that are most likely to be used.
Okay.
So we have different legs we stand on if we were to dig even deeper in our product here. So we have an AI that uses the health record text that the healthcare personnel has written, and it will predict which codes are most likely to be used here. That means we don't have to search for the code at all. We get presented with maybe 5 or 10 codes, and we just click, these are the most likely codes to be used. But then again, we won't always find the correct code because the health text isn't always perfect. So let's say I need to find a code, I'll search in our search function, and that will find codes. Even if I spell wrong or use abbreviations or another language, I'll find the code there. And it gets more complicated because there are more types of different codes. We have main codes and bycodes, we call it. So let's say if I find let's say we take the example as a heart failure or a heart attack. If I search the code heart attack, we'll present which codes are most likely to be used together with this. So I don't have to find high blood pressure, because there's always going to be a high blood pressure with a heart attack patient. But before we'd have to search 5 different times. But now we'll present, you choose one code, I'll show you which codes are most likely to be used with that code. So in every search, we save so much time.
And it's already happening? It's already implemented? Or where are you in the
as of now, like our product has been done for like the proof of concept was done like over a year and a half ago. We created a beta. I started using that. My friends started using it. And then we realized, okay, this is not just something that I use, because from the beginning, this was an idea. The idea wasn't this is going to be a company. We're going to change the world here. The idea was like, let's make my job a little easier, because this is an issue that I had. And then I kind of realized, okay, this is probably an issue that more people have. And we started seeing like the potential. So the product has been there like in a way for almost 2 years, a year and a half or so. And then it's just been keep on evolving since that. And where we are today, we are starting to implement it. So we have our first customers using it, and we're starting to implement into the medical health record systems. So that's the big issue when working in medtech. Like the process is hard because the medical health record systems, they're so old, like these dinosaurs that have been there forever. Like they're really hard to change how they work. And so we implement into them. So we call ourselves, we're an API solution. So we integrate into the systems. They have their own search engine, so they search, but we present what they find when they search in there. So that's where we are today. We're waiting for that process to get implemented, but that can take a long time. Yeah.
And who are your first customers then? Who was actually using it?
It's private healthcare clinics. So big private healthcare clinics is our first customers. Unfortunately, because my idea was, okay, where can we make the biggest impact? Where can we save the most time? That's where an idea with this product is we can save a lot of time. We can make a difference here. So my idea was, okay, whoever has the biggest issue here, they're the ones who are going to implement this first. So I started contacting like the people who were the worst at coding, like who had a big issue with this. So I found these clinics, contacted them, but I was pretty wrong. My idea was they're going to be the first adopters, but they weren't, because the ones who are the worst at coding, the ones that spend most time administrating, they have other problems. They have so much bigger problems than this. They don't even they don't even have doctors working full time. They might even have a GP. They just have these stafettläkare, as they call, like rotational doctors who come. So when presenting them with this, they're like, yeah, this is a great idea, but we have this big issue. So then we had to kind of change our business model and contact instead those are already good at this, who knows that this is an issue. So which is unfortunately the private healthcare clinics. They're really good at this already, but they want to become better because they have, like, they're on top of things, right? They'll maybe have a data scientist who knows, like, okay, this is the problems we have within our system. We're losing this much time here because all our doctors and nurses are spending so much time looking for these codes. We could half this time, like we could save so much time here. So they're the ones implementing it, and that's kind of reoccurring in healthcare, I would say. What's the Swedish or the English word for kommuner, regioner? They're I don't know what would you call
provinces
that?
Or
the provinces or the public sector rather. The public sector is going to be the slow adopters. Yeah, they're not on top of things. So
it's about money again, I guess.
It is about money. Yeah. So
does it make you tick in a way that you now see new problems and you're like, "Ooh, what's the next thing I can create?" Or
in a way, yeah. Like it's always been like that. I have tons of ideas on what we can do. So my problem is, rather than coming up with new problems, it's like, okay, what can we do within what we're best at? Yeah. So I found a lot of different things that we can solve, but we have to stay in our spot. So we work with codes. We work with these diagnostic codes only. And there's a lot I can do within that. Like there's a whole world that opens up. It's like almost like playing chess. Like if you look at the chessboard, your first move, there's not that many first moves. There might be, I think, 10 first moves that you can do, 12 maybe. But once you've done your first move, then it opens up. There's just 35 different moves. And to have 2 moves in, there's a billion moves, right? And it's the same for us. Like do this in like a basic level with codes. Yeah, you can, there's quite many people can do the basics, but then as soon as you get into like the deeper parts of it, there's so much you can do. So I can do this for the rest of my life.
But do you ever miss the hands-on approach, like the patients and that part of being a doctor?
I do. I really like being a doctor, so I miss that as well. Unfortunately, in medicine, like I would say you're not treated very good as the healthcare personnel. Like we like a lot of us likes our jobs. That's why we're there. We're not there because the company or the hospital is great to work for, I would say. So I don't miss that, but I miss meeting my patients. I miss that. But I've solved it in a way. Like I still work every now and then. Like in summertime, we'll go down to Halmstad where we have our summer place. And since I know a lot of people who have primary healthcare units or ERs, they know that I'm doing this. So if somebody's sick, they can call me every now and then. Like somebody calls like, okay, we don't have somebody working in the ER tonight. Can you come in 6 hours or 8 hours? So I'll go there and work and just fill in. And that way, like I get the best out of it because they're really happy I come. Everybody thanks me. You never get thanked if you have a normal job in healthcare. Nobody's going to thank you for the work you do. Like suddenly, like people are thanking me for coming and helping. And for me, it's just fun. Like I jump in every now and then, keep my expertise up to a jour.
Do you do the same here in Åre? Do you have like already friends calling or people saying like, can I come by?
Yeah, not here. Or like my friends call, sure. But Åre Hälsocentral is quite well staffed. This is one of the best well staffed places in Sweden. Because this is really, people like coming here. This Åre is, it's quite known in the country, right? People like Åre. Mm. So there's a lot of people who don't like where they're working now and they want to come work here. So this is one of the best staffed places I've ever worked in. So they're not going to be calling a lot, asking. I've thought about, I probably will maybe next winter start working here a bit more, maybe have a couple days a week that I'll do that. We'll see. But yeah, this is one of the best places to work in, I would say. There's so many people. So even if 2 people are sick, it will work. They'll make it work. Yeah. Have you been to Åre Hälsocentral? Has anybody you?
I have been.
You've been to Hälsocentral. That's a funny story.
Yeah. But I was surprised. I've been twice, but I don't want to say anything negative about
it. Felt a bit understaffed.
But let's just say that we are from Belgium and the Netherlands originally, and if you go into an ER it's busy, but it's very efficient and fast. Like things are happening.
Yeah.
So if you're not helped immediately, well, you see somebody with a way bigger problem than you, and you're like, well, fine, you can't breathe. Of course, you go first, right?
Yeah.
And then I have 2 experiences here. One was with Ziggy when some kid jumped on his leg while he was on the ground, and it didn't look. The pain he was in didn't look really good. So I was like, okay, I'll have him checked. And we were the only ones in the waiting room, and we waited for 2 hours.
Really? Okay.
And I was so surprised because I saw doctors walking past, and I was like, so when are we gonna get helped? I thought it was weird because it was 2 years old, kid waiting in pain.
Yeah, usually we prioritize the kids.
So that was a weird one. And the other time I kind of cracked my own nose a bit in jump yard.
Okay.
Not so smart. So I came in and I asked for ice, and they're like, yeah, we don't do that. And I was also very surprised. I was like, normally a hospital kind of, cool it down. Apparently that's not a Swedish thing, or maybe not an Oro thing.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, there's, I think, I'm not going to get into it. Yeah.
So right. that for me was two weird, I just have 2 weird experiences, but maybe that's just a...
Yeah, oh.
They also didn't give me a painkiller or anything, but also maybe that's just protocol.
Yeah, they gave me one eventually.
After
I asked for it for a while.
Yeah, you have to really ask for it. So I don't know how it works in
It's
general.
nice to hear the patient experience, though, because I'm always on the other side. Like, I'm lucky I haven't gotten hurt a lot, but someone was on the other side. But it's nice to hear like what you guys experience as well, even in a place like this that I would say is one of the more well-staffed places I've worked in. And they just did. There was a report that came out, I think, last week that checked. Okay, if we look at GPs, general practitioners, the primary healthcare doctors in the country, we have 21 different regions. How long will it take Sweden, if we continue in this rate with our staffing and our education? How long will it take before we can meet the criteria of how many GPs we need per capita in each region? Jämtland the answer was 0. So here we have enough, which kind of reflects my experience here. Like, this is well staffed. In Stockholm, it was 200 years. Over 200 years is going to take before we are staffed enough until we have enough GPs. And there's a bunch of places where they said this is never going to happen. There's way too we have too few doctors, and we don't have that rate of education that we're gonna fill that gap.
Really? And what happens then in Stockholm if you need to go to a doctor?
Well, it'll take you a long time. It will take you weeks. So the problem then is, okay, am I that sick that I can go to the emergency ward? If I am, yes, then I'll go to the ER. If I'm not, then I'll contact my primary care unit. But then they can say, okay, this is not an emergency, so we can see you within maybe 3 months, or 2 months, or 2 weeks. So you'll have to wait a long time. So that's a big issue today. Like I used to work in Stockholm before. So the patients, the queue is so long to see a doctor. So they have to wake up, go at 7:45. They have to call the primary care unit. Hello, I need a time. And then if you're lucky enough, you get in at that exact moment. They open the phones. But then if you're too slow, you'll be the last person, and you get there like there's 15 minutes of a telephone queue, and then you'll get there and say, oh, there's no more times today. Sorry. We'll get you in, or call tomorrow. It's a big problem.
And is it the same problem in small villages all over Sweden, or?
I'd say yes and no. It depends on if you're lucky, if you've got a primary care doctor who's moved there. But that's the issue. Like not a lot of people wants to move to a small village, so they don't have enough primary care doctors. So it's it's an issue. It's a big problem that we have today.
So we can be grateful that we live here then.
I'd say so. I mean, you had to wait for 2 hours. When I work in the ER, a lot of patients are like, when I come and meet them, they'll be angry even when I come there, and I can't work faster than I am working, so I can't really affect. Like, it would take me 4 hours to see that patient because I had other patients, right? And we're understaffed. So if I'm the only person there, it will take the time it takes. So whenever I meet a patient, they're almost always have that feeling that you had, like 2 hours have passed. What's been going on? But for me, on my side, it's we can't really change. It has to change from a political view, right? We need more doctors. But then again, like even in an ER, I think the average time to meet a doctor is about 4 hours. Yeah. People who wait for 3 hours, they're angry still. And I would say, like, this is an hour faster than anywhere.
I guess we kind of got used to everything happening instantly, like most things.
But it wasn't for me. I think that's important to, like, it wasn't the weird feeling for me was that there was nobody else waiting.
Yeah,
that I was first in line.
strange.
That was because I don't mind waiting. That's not the problem.
But you don't
It's
see
just
what's
weird.
happening behind the scene.
Yeah,
Like
so-
you said, you might be busy with a patient and you think, where are all the doctors?
But I think that's a bit Sweden in general, because like I said, the staff or the doctors were walking calmly through the hallway, which I think is beautiful. Their mental health must be better than the average doctor in the rest of the world. You know, if you're constantly stressed, that's not good either.
Yeah.
They looked very chill, so that was good. But I think that's what we experienced in Sweden in general, or at least here. Let's say the first time I went to Ore Bageri to get a coffee, and everything just was so calm. Just they're making one coffee, doing the next order, making the next one.
Yeah.
Whereas where we grew up, it is like, okay, how many orders? Bam, 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 coffee, got it. You know? Try to do everything fast. And I don't know if that's good for the mental health. Like I really started to appreciate that. I feel a bit like we're in Spain here, in the sense of everything is tranquilo and everybody takes it easy. And I started to appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. Nice. Because you weren't that way before, or were you
I
also
worked,
the coffee?
We met in a bar where I was working, and I literally had to pour 3 beers at the same time while, you know, shouting orders. We come from a different background. In that
It's
sense.
kind of a rush as well, I guess, working in a bar like that. And we just came back from Belgium, and I was in a bakery, and there was 7 people working behind the counter.
Okay.
Like literally, and everybody was doing something, and then 3 more people came from the back, and I was like, so much energy there, and so much, like you said, drive and efficiency behind it. And it's not like you take your time. How's your day like? And we feel like it's a lot more that way around here in Sweden. That it's
nice.
They take more time.
Yeah,
but that's obviously our experience.
And I think it's healthy. I don't know for you, from a doctor's perspective, how you have been seeing mental health going in a certain direction. But
well, if you look at I see the patients, but then I see also us, the personnel. Like the GPs are the most prone for mental health issues. Like if you become really, really stressed with that job. Since I said there's way too few of us, so we always have too much at work. So almost my experience is like quite the difference from what you said. Like I'd say we're always running, always have more to do than we have time to do. Maybe not in this place, but in other parts of the country. So the GPs are the most stressed doctors that we have, and that's an issue. And I don't know, have you ever worked a job where it was quite stressful? Have you done that for like 6 months or a year?
Good question. Yeah,
I'm thinking also in my brain. We never really had a job for a very long time.
Shorter periods of time, but not that long, I would say.
At least I don't know, for me, if I work in the ER, it's quite stressful, but I get a lot of energy out of it. It's quite a rush to work there. Like things are happening all the time. And I'm really bad at like prioritizing myself or like eating. Like I can go a day without eating, no problem. So I'll work my entire shift. Like I can work 12-hour shifts and not eat. I don't drink coffee, so I don't take breaks. I don't smoke, of course, so I don't go smoking. So I'll just work these 12 hours, and I'll be really like on a rush almost. It's a quite nice feeling. But then afterwards, like I get this energy dump. Like I'm really tired after. But then you go back to work and you get that rush back. But when you do this for 6 months or a year, like you realize like, okay, every other part of your life is quickly, or not quickly, it's slowly kind of like deteriorating, and like work becomes your life, and it takes all the energy, and the energy to go out do something at nighttime with your friends or go out skiing in the weekend, it just becomes less and less. And then you look back a year later, it's like, wow, this is so different from what I was doing before when I didn't have this stressful life. So for me, that has been a big part of like how I want to set up my life. Like I don't want to work full time in one of those types of jobs where there's a lot of energy being spent, and you're up here. It's fun at the moment when you're in that, but it takes too much toll on the rest of life. I don't know.
So
if
there should be more GPs in general then, because what you are saying is that you should have, less working hours, I guess, to keep it sane for you. Yeah,
I mean, there's this view of how weird it is that we have a job that we can't, if we work full time, if we work 100%, it's not going to work out for you in the long run. You're going to become sick. You're going to walk into the wall. So there's so many GPs working part-time. And when people hear that, okay, you're working part-time, you're working 70% or 60%, it's so luxurious. But, our goal would be to work 100% and be healthy and like not stressed. That would be the best for everybody, but it's not the issue today. We can't work full-time. Like in my old workplace where I was in Stockholm, there was nobody worked full-time. We're 15 doctors. Nobody is working full-time. So it doesn't work. So yeah, it is an issue. Like, I mean, it's an issue everywhere. Like there's too few doctors, right? And I don't know, in Belgium, it's also a question of what is it going to cost? What's healthcare going to cost? I don't know about Belgium. I don't know the healthcare system there, but I know it's more private care, right? You get paid more per patient, but every patient could cost more, but you'll get to see the doctor quicker, but it will cost more. Like, how are we going to keep that cost efficient? Where do we put that line? It's a hard line to set.
For sure. How do you take care of your mental health, if I can ask that?
I think it's kind of like it's taking care of itself, because I have that, like that you said that you have, like, you change paths and you try new things. I get bored pretty quickly when I start doing one thing too much for too long time. So I kind of learned, like, okay, I want to become a GP. So I was a surgeon before, like I said, an orthopedic surgeon. I did a lot of surgery. Which is a lot of, when you do surgery, it's always weekends, nighttime shifts, and so on. And that was really fun. But then I realized, okay, this is taking too much of my spare time. So I went into GP instead. Like, we work 9 to 5, but they like 8 till 5 normal days. And then I saw, okay, this is becoming pretty boring doing this every day. So then I changed my work to be, I did that for 70% of the week or the year, and I did 30% I could do in something else. So to answer your question, I keep my sanity by setting up my work life, which fits like how I work as a person, so that I can do that for 70% of the year, and 30% I'll do something else. Like I said, I was in the Swedish Armed Forces. So I do 3 weeks every 6 months. I'll do something with the Swedish Armed Forces. So I leave and I do something else. I'm out in the woods shooting guns.
So what would you then give as an advice to people? A lot of people I meet have trouble finding that balance in their day-to-day life, and they also don't have the feeling they can change their job as it is. Then how do you think you can solve that problem if you don't know?
I don't know, maybe be a role model, like yourself. You said you changed paths every 4 years, you said. I think the more you see people do that, the more you see that it's possible. And I think the more you're into, like, doctors are special because you've been studying for so long, right? You're digging in the same place for so long. Getting out of that hole, it's quite hard to change. And like, it's a bit frowned upon as well, I would say, especially for doctors. I don't know. I would say especially for doctors, but could be in other professions as well. But as long as you see people doing it, it will be, you'll find role models, and you can see other people who can do it, then I can do it as well. Like, it's not that hard. I would say it's scary.
Does it work for anybody? Like, any of your colleagues that like are thriving on the full-on 100% job for a longer time period, let's say?
There's some examples of it, but like most. Also, like, I'll give you an example. They did a study for young Swedish doctors. When you study, you finish, then you do AT-tjänst. And then there's 2 years where you kind of do rotations and try a bit of everything. So they asked a bunch of these doctors, are you happy with life? Or can you consider changing paths, career paths completely? Not within doctors, completely different. 25%, like a quarter of them, said, I'm considering changing career paths altogether. So 25% of doctors are considering changing career paths. That's how bad it is. But there's not 25% changing, right? But 25% are considering it. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's always been like a reoccurring thought. Like, when do we choose career paths? We're like, usually we're 19, 18. What do we know about life when we're 19, 18? Not a lot, right? So we choose career paths, and it would be stranger for me that you choose correctly and that you choose incorrectly. And if we have that thought that most likely we'll choose incorrectly, And shouldn't we change later on that we know what we want to do? Like, let's say I like to work with people, but then I started a job that is not working with people. Shouldn't I change? But people have a tendency of keep going, keep digging in your same spot, keep working with what I was working with before, because that's where I am. That's what I'm best at. But once you meet people who changed paths like you do, it's much easier. And like you see that as well, like with your friends or our friends here in Nordic, everybody's like changing, and like they come here and like they have to change their paths away to make it work with the lifestyle they want to live.
It's always scary in some way, and you need to have trust in life, I think.
Yeah.
That you let go of the golden cage you might be in, your security, your income. It is a scary thing, and yeah, I always want to help people find that trust in some way, because that I feel is the hardest. They want to make the switch, they want to go to another job, they want to try something new. But what about that time in between that they don't know what the new thing is yet?
Yeah, exactly. It is hard. And it's the question, like, should I change because I don't like where I am now? Or should I change to something that I know what it is? And people are, a lot of time, people are waiting to find that other thing to change to, right? So it's from person to person, like if it's right or wrong to change. I don't know have you ever changed from, let's say, without knowing what you want to go to? Have you just quit and like out into the abyss, like hoping?
In general.
But I think like things during your life change as well. Like in the beginning, you might just go on a hunch or an instinct, but after a while you get to realize, like you just said, maybe you like to work better with people, or maybe you're better behind the computer or whatever. And you focus more on that part that you like, and then you find the jobs that fit that description, instead of before you might have studied for something, say, okay, I studied to become a sports teacher, so I'll become a sports teacher, not even realizing you might not be the one that wants to hang out with a lot of people, but might be interested in developing sports shoes or whatever. You say that you're more technical. Yeah. But I think if you grow up, after a while, you start to realize more and more what's closer to what makes you happy. And then you can fit the job around that. But that's a process in life, I would say. It's quite hard to do that as a younger person. But that's my experience. Yeah, really. Yeah, of course. I agree. And if you can do that within the sphere that you're working in, like you're lucky, like you say, as a doctor, there's so many things as a doctor that you can do. You might not have to change completely career paths. Or if you're an engineer, there's so many things as an engineer that you can do. But for a lot of people, it might not be it might not be that way. You have to like completely change paths. So I also realize, like for me, being a doctor, I'll always have that job to go back to. So it's not as scary for me to change, right? I can quit my job now. People say, wow, that's so amazing that you could quit your job. But I know, like, okay, I can go back on Monday if I want to. So it's not that scary, right? But isn't that almost always the case, that you can go back to? Or am I naive when I say that? I would say you're naive. I don't know, but you mean within... Let's say you're everybody. A teacher, just to give an example, and you don't like teaching anymore. Yeah. And you want to try something new. Let's say pottery. You think, my dream is to make pottery my new business. Yeah. Can't you go back to teaching after if it doesn't work? I guess you could, but will you get that same job as you had, or would you? But that's always the question. Is it worth the risk? And like, I would say yes, because I've never met anybody who took the leap and regretted it. I honestly never met somebody. Yeah. And maybe I'm very lucky to have never met somebody who, But, is it? I don't know. And I think in general, one thing opens another door. Like, it's rarely, I think, people go back, because once you've taken a step and it might not work out what you wanted to do, that step could have led you to another thing. Maybe it's not pottery, but maybe bakery is your new thing, and you end up there. Like, or you come across a friend who does the pottery, and together you realize, oh, we're really good at working together, and you start something else. I don't know, I'm just saying something, but it feels like once you've made that first step from changing to something that you've done before, something completely new opens up, and it's scary. It's always scary, but I've never seen it stop. Or like it feels so weird to think like, okay, I will take my first step, and then it doesn't work. Okay, now I'll have to go back and restart my old life. It feels a very strange. For me, it feels like a strange concept. Yeah, I think so too. But I think also we're three people who are probably quite similar in doing this. Because I met a guy, wasn't that long ago, he changed jobs,
And then he realized, I don't like this new job. And he went back to his old job. But he went back to his old job with a completely new view of it and said, like, wow, this is great. This is much better than I thought. Like, I thought the grass was greener, but it wasn't. So now he has much more appreciation for the job that he has at the moment. So he went back. But I think probably, as you say, most people who change does it for a reason. And that once you take that leap of faith, and it's going to be worth it.
But that's also a nice one if you go back and you re-appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Also really good, I think. Yeah.
I kind of wish I was that person. Like I could have just same job and just be there forever. Just would be so much easier, right? But it's just so much fun. Like I see like top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, there's a saying. And it's just like so much more fun to see it that way and just change. And then you have new knowledge from whatever you learned and you try to apply that to where you are today. Or you're at the bottom, you don't know anything. There's a new world opens. You get to learn a bunch of new stuff, and it's also fun.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years, you think?
Oh, yeah,
if you're just dream big, like
10 years old. I'm 38. I'll be 48. Like it's hard to like. Now I have a kid that's a year and a half. It's hard to see like what is not a part of it. At least it's just, life is so easy here. People are so nice, and like once you get kids, like the easy life, it's so nice. It's hard to see yourself in a big city traveling with or like living with kids, like having to take the tunnelbana to work and so on. But I'll see myself probably some foot in entrepreneurship. Doesn't have to be in medtech, but something like that. I really like working like with friends and like, creating stuff. And what it's creating something physical or something in software, just in some kind of creation. Like I would say I'm a creative person. So it's that will be a part of my life. And then where it is, I don't know. Like I'm open to live in other countries, and so is my partner. It could be that we're just a year or two somewhere else.
Do you think you're gonna end up back at the coast somewhere again, or? I
will a part of the year, yeah. So sometime, I don't know when, but yeah, I will live at the coast. I don't have to do it all year, but it has to be some part of my life. And I'm fine with it being 5 years without it. But yeah, surfing is like I think I'm pure happiness when I'm surfing. It has to be a part of my life sometime. So yeah, in the future, yeah. And I want to teach my daughter to surf, so it will be there somewhere.
Are you creative outside of your work as well?
I'd say so. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the stuff behind you. You have the pottery here, and you have like this thing that we talked about. It's like I love doing stuff like that. So I do a lot of painting. I do sculpturing. And I like building. So I do a lot of creating stuff. So, and I think there's a lot of ways to be creative, right? And like I said before, I used to be a professional dancer before I started studying. So I did dancing for like 13 years, and that was like my main job. And as a break dancer, and the break dancing is like, or has a really big creative part to it. It has what we call like a foundation, which is like the steps that you have to know. But then there's a huge part of it, which is just creativity. It's like unleash your creativity, like do whatever you want to. And that creativity, and just doing that for so long, I think just either it just fit me really well, or just opened up something within me, like open up those gates of creativity. So that will always be a part of my life. And I think that's what I miss the most as a doctor. Nobody wants a creative doctor, right? You want a doctor that follows the rules. So I have my job where I'm try not to be creative, and then all the creative outlet that you need, you'll do that on your spare time.
Did you see the Australian Olympic break dancer?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Reagan. I think, yeah, I mean, it actually made me pretty sad to see like what internet can do to an individual. Like it's sad that she got to represent Australia, because there's so much, it's tough to say, but there are much better break dancers in there, and she represents one type of creativity. But it's sad because I think everybody's seen this ray gun, right? And there's like this hate storm on the internet towards her. But then if you just look at the individual, she's just a person. She likes to express herself, and how she expresses herself, it's just not, who are we to judge it, right? Yeah. But then when you take a sport like this, which is creativity, and you put it into a scene where it's supposed to be judged, people will judge it. Like, what is right or wrong? Can we judge her? Can we not judge her? Like, she put herself there. I would say, yeah, I don't really like her way of dancing, but it's not the style that I like. But there's different styles, and she dances the way she likes to dance, and she's happy.
What do you think of it in general, that it was part of the Olympics this year?
I don't like it. Not like breakdancing, especially. It's an underground sport, so that it was there, it just takes, like, sucks the energy out of it. It sucks the soul out of the sport, I would say, if it is a sport. So what is magical about that dance? I would say that it is creative. Everybody has their own way of expressing whatever they want, how they want to. You'll dance for your reasons, and you'll dance for your reasons. But then we meet in this energy, in this special scene. Usually it's underground, like a lot of people. Like, you're one with the music, and it stays there, and then you leave, and you go back to your normal lives. But now you, like, put this on this big stage. You'll have judges, and, like, you say, this is good dancing and this is bad dancing. Reagan is bad and this guy is good. And
that's hard.
It's sad. It takes away the
and
soul
surfing also became an Olympic sport. So both of the things you like.
yeah, it is. Yeah, both of the things I like. And I mean, I don't know what to say about it, really. Surfing is a crap sport to watch on TV, I would say, as well. It's like, if you don't know surfing, you'll see somebody paddle into a wave. You don't see the difference in the waves. Almost the waves look kind of similar. They go into this tunnel, they come out, like, and they just do the same thing over and over again. Like, what's the difference, really? And it's kind of the same with dancing or break dancing. Like, okay, we see that at MTV when we were kids, right? Somebody's spinning on their head, they're doing some flips, and then you don't see the difference in between the flips, and you don't see the musical part of it. It all looks the same, kind of.
So for you, it's the one who does it that actually experiences it, that it's the nice part of it, not actually for the viewer, basically.
I would say so. Everybody dances for different reasons. You dance, like, everybody had their own reason why they're there. Like, do you remember this, is it the George Michael song that is some dance to remember, some dance to forget? And it's kind of, I think it says a lot about the sport. Like, we all have our different reasons why we do it. And who are you to judge, like, why somebody else is there and how they do it? It's not the reason that we're there from the beginning.
I was wondering, you said 13 years. Where does that fit into your life? It feels like you've had already so many things.
Yeah, people say I live many lives in one. Like, I started as soon as I came back to Sweden from Costa Rica. So I started when I was 13. There was this French team that came to my school, and I saw this guy, like, jumping on one hand, and I was like, that was so cool. I want to learn that. So I started taking lessons, and then I did that well into, like, half through med school. Yeah, and then
you said professionally as well, or you earn money.
So I did, like, I had these 3 years after gymnasiet and med school where I did that. So I had a team in Stockholm, and we did that as was my main profession. Like, we do shows, like, all around Sweden, and I lived in South Korea, which is like a summer where they're like the main break dancers in the world. Like, they were the best at the moment, and one of my best friends was in that team who won the world championship. So I moved there for a summer and lived in South Korea, just dancing every day with the best in the world. And
nice.
It was also a different part of life. Like, you get to zoom into a part like a lot of people don't get to experience, which is a really cool part of life. And then I became professional right before med school, and then we took second place. As I said, always a runner-up. We took second place in the Swedish nationals, and then after that, we had a lot of gigs and shows and so on. So I did that, like, parallel to studying. So, like, made a bit of money, and I also had, like, I did that with my best friends. So, like, did a lot of that on the side. But then after a while, it just took too much time away from. Like, I had to, like, before that, I was dancing 7 days a week, like 6 hours every day. Like, every day was this. Like, you can't study and do that.
You've still got it?
I still got it.
If I was Jimmy Fallon right now, I would join you.
Have you ever tried breakdancing?
No.
But you've seen it?
I've seen, maybe. There's one move that you can just, I don't know, like a snake go backwards.
Yeah.
I tried that.
Is that a legit breakdance move?
I think so.
I mean, everything can be as a breakdance move, but that is legit. Yeah, it's part of it. I say.
Okay.
But everything in breakdancing is taken from somewhere else. Breakdancing is just like the best out of different parts, and you put them together and you remake it in a way. So it's a hard question to answer. Is it a legit breakdance move? Everything comes from somewhere else.
Do you still do it sometimes?
Not really. No, it's been a long time now. Yeah, I see my friends every now and then that my old crew, but they still dance, a few of them, and still does it professionally, full time. It's just, so we'll just do it for fun. But yeah, it's...
You don't feel the urge to set something up here in Åre? Or?
I do, but I had a few times that I gone back into it, but I have a really hard time not doing something a lot. When I do something, I do it 100% or more. So I know, like, when I start with that, I just want to put more and more time into it. So I just left that aside. Like,
okay, but if somebody's listening right now and they want to breakdance with you,
yeah, they have to put on that Run DMC music and open the door. What's up?
Nice. Yeah, so your mind is very creative.
Thanks.
Which makes me really wonder, what is on top of the bucket list in your life? What do you really still want to do if money and time were no issue?
There's a lot of things that I don't think there's a top of what I want to do, but one of those things has always been there is getting a helicopter license. So that's been there for years and years. My dad used to be a pilot, so that's what he did in the States. We moved to the States because he wanted to become a pilot. So I think it's like part of me. Like, I really want to fly in some way. But then there's an environmental aspect of it. So as for now, I won't. But if they become electric in the future, I want to get a helicopter license.
How long does it take to become a pilot?
We can get a PPL, it's called, a private pilot license, that you can do in a year.
Really?
Yeah.
I always wanted to become a pilot.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me know. If you start, I'll join you.
Actually, it was really close. I got into, I applied to a school in Hawaii because I wanted to, you can surf and you can become a pilot. So I quit my job before and I got into a school in Hawaii, and I actually took all the what do you call it? I did all the reading of the course beforehand. So I moved there. I got a visa to go to the States for a year. I got into that school and I even went to Hawaii. But then last minute, I just thought, like, this is crazy. I quit my job. I take a bunch of my savings, all my money, to become a helicopter pilot. This is crazy. And I just ended up not spending that money. I didn't go to the school, and I instead just surfed instead. So I just spent that year surfing. But that's still on the bucket list, to get that helicopter license one day. I'll call you and we can do it together.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My cousin, he was helicopter pilot on the Lofoten.
Oh, really?
But now he just moved to Tanzania with his 3 kids.
Okay.
And he sent us a picture the other day that they were moving a gorilla from a sanctuary, do you call it?
All right.
To back to the wild.
With the helicopter?
Yeah.
All right.
And that looked really cool. Like,
okay.
Yeah, so as everything, the gray line between environmental yes or no, this was also an important task to do, that the gorilla needed to get back into the wild.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use a truck for that, but with a helicopter, it made it easier.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also the aspect, like, okay, our country spent a lot of money, put it into my education to become a doctor. How much time can I do for fun? Like, how much can I do for fun on the side of it? So there's that aspect, and we'll see. Yeah,
that's also a good way to think about it. Forgot about that part, but the government or the country does pay for your education in some way in Sweden. So. Yeah.
Sure. Is there anything you have, like, in the near future? You
on my bucket list?
Like a project, maybe something more tangible that you're actually going to do, or something?
I think a project this summer would be, we're going to take a trip this summer. Yeah. So I think with the family. So take our daughter on a trip. We're going to try this, Stefan's Rail Finder app that does the Rail Finder. I think hopefully this summer we're going to try that out and go with a train trip down to Europe. Maybe find one of those wave pools and go surfing. So I want to take my daughter surfing in a wave pool. So we'll take a train trip this summer. I think that's tangible.
There's one in Rotterdam now. Did you hear of that?
Really?
In the middle of the city. Yeah.
Really? In Rotterdam?
Yeah.
Okay. How old is that?
A few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the blue, like, Caribbean water that you have in Sion. There is one in Switzerland.
Yeah.
That's, like, very pretty. We've been there a few years ago.
But this one is more brown water.
Yeah.
Rotterdam's water.
Yeah, very Dutch. But it's a real Dutch experience.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you going to try it?
Probably one day. Yeah, why not?
Because Rotterdam is in Belgium, am I right?
Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yeah, close. Just a little bit more north.
I mean, those countries are Does anybody really know where the distinguishing between them?
That's a big.
Rotterdam is it's the southern part of Netherlands, right? So
it's underneath Amsterdam, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
You're
from Belgium, but you're not from Belgium.
I'm from Rotterdam, actually.
You are from Rotterdam.
Yeah,
okay.
That's where I was born, and then I lived in Belgium a big part of my youth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You could do a wave pool road trip around Europe and find out what the best ones are.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Have you guys tried surfing?
We did the one in Sion, which we surfed a bit in France.
The one in Switzerland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We surfed a bit in France and Portugal, but we're not, any good at it in a way that we are maybe in snowboarding, mountain biking or something.
Yeah.
Feels like we're still a bit of noobs in a way.
I think one of our goals is to find a really warm wave somewhere like Costa Rica, and you can go every day, and then you can get better faster than the waves that we learn to surf on are not that reliable.
Yeah, I get it.
It's really hard.
I would say surfing, it's like an upside down bell curve kind of. It's like really fun in the beginning, and then the more you learn, the less fun you'll have, and then better you get in the end. It'll become fun again. So either you're really good and then it's really fun, or you're quite a beginner, it's really fun. Like in that in between part, when you start surfing the waves that other people want to surf as well, you get into that culture, and this culture is shit in surfing. So like my advice would be, if you're not professionals now, like stay in the beginner stage and just have fun there.
Sounds like a good plan.
Don't quit in 4 years and do that surfing career.
Speaking of advice, do you have any advice you want to give people who are interested in creating a system or an app or something like you did, something they think the world needs, where they should start? Or
I mean, my advice would be like here in Åre, there's an incubator. So I had never heard of an incubator before this because I come from the medical world. An incubator is like a small, like an organization where they have a lot of expertise in-house. So there's one in Åre called Peak Innovations, and I joined that incubator. So if you're new to entrepreneurship, you have an idea, then you can apply to become one of the startup companies in one of these incubators. And there's all over the country, there's these incubators, and there's one here. So I applied to this one and I got in. And what that means is you get in, and then you get somebody who helps you run your company, and they have expertise from entrepreneurship before. They'll have a contact network, and they'll have they'll help you with funding and so on. So for most people who want to create something, you haven't done that before usually, or you have done that before and you're going to do it in a new sector. So everything is going to become new anyway. So for me, at least, like I joined this incubator, and then like they'll help you with the process. So we did like a full year of like learning what it is to create a product or a software company, and all the things that comes around it. Because like you might need legal issues, you might need how like media, or how to set up contracts, all these different things. Everything is new, right? So you can try to find somebody who can help you along the way. And if you don't get into incubator, like ask people around you. So first of all, I would say, to answer your question, like think long and hard about what you want to create and discuss it with other people. Don't keep it for yourself. A lot of people think, I can't tell this amazing idea to somebody else. They're going to steal my idea. Nobody's going to steal your idea. Right? So ask people about your idea and get like real information about like, is this an issue that you're solving, that people want this to be solved? And is somebody willing to pay for this, right? Because in the end, like if you don't have a lot of money, you'll have to somehow make money off of this. So start off with asking a lot of questions in the beginning, and then once you know what you want to do, kind of what you want to do, then you find a place where you can do that, where you're surrounded by people who's done that before, who can help you along the way. That would be my best tips, I would think.
That's some very good advice.
Very good advice, yeah. Nice.
And do you have anything else to share before we wrap up with the world, where they can find your system, or I don't know if they're interested? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know if a lot of healthcare clinics are going to watch this. Maybe in the future, hopefully this will explode, this podcast. We have a search function that we gave for free. So we have a free search function out now. It's on aicd.now or nu, aicd.nu. So there, anybody working in healthcare who wants to use this and doesn't want to pay for it, go in there and use it for free. So that's where you can find it. And we do much more. If you're the person who has this issue, they probably already know who we are and they'll find us through there. But if you're just a healthcare personnel, you want to make your life easier, go into there and use it for free.
Is that a thing only for Sweden, or is that for the whole
It's in
of Europe?
Sweden now, and we're starting to, because these codes are in all different languages. We're starting to implement it also in Norwegian and other countries as well. So that's on our roadmap. So
yeah, but I mean that search function is not for anybody outside of Sweden at this point.
The codes are very similar. So we get people from other countries already using it because they can use it in a way, but it's for Swedish people. Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, come skiing. Show me the places to go skiing in order.
Nice.
And to wrap it up, we also have some rapid fire fun.
All right. Okay.
If you're ready. Skiing or snowboarding?
Oof, snowboarding.
Morning person or evening person?
Evening person. Yeah, nighttime.
Yeah.
Also, I'm up so late at night that I become a morning person. Yeah, I hate mornings. Like even now, this is 10 in the morning. This is early for me.
And you have a 1-year-old. Ooh.
Yep.
Sauna or hot tub?
A hot tub.
And hiking or biking?
Oof, biking is more fun, but I try to hike now because I know I can kill myself if I continue biking. Don't go on those bikes, people.
We would say the opposite.
We would say the opposite. Go on those bikes. Yeah, absolutely love it.
You haven't got into broken bones yet, or have you broken your bones yet?
Nope.
Nice. Yeah, me neither. I want to keep it that way. Yeah. Like I have both my knees are intact. You guys have your knees as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep it that way.
Yeah. But if we do break them, we can come to you to fix them. So.
Yeah, come to me first, and then go to Åre Health Society.
Thank you for today. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, thanks for today. It's nice being here. It's really interesting. Nice seeing your setup here.
Yeah.
Really
thanks
fun.
for being here.
Thanks a lot.